Welcome to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trento Vision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or Tom at trentovision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and trentovision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. How do you say hello in Hawaii talk?
Aloha.
Aloha, aloha, President Obama. What's going on? We need an up-to-the-minute, real-time report, if you can find that, on what he's doing right now.
Body surfing. We know exactly what he's doing. He's body surfing in Hawaii.
Body surfing. So it's 5 hours different. So it's 11 o'clock in the morning. He's out in the surf that early?
Body surfing. Yeah, he
wow.
Serious body surfer. They got pictures of him body surfing and everything.
I've seen the old pictures. He's not in bad shape. He's in pretty good shape. He is
the best body surfing president we've ever had.
Oh, man, that was worth it.
I mean,
that was worth $1 billion. That's for sure.
Yep.
How you doing, Tom Trento? Come on, CJ. Just go right back. You're late. Just don't knock anything over.
That's my job.
And the camera is catching our radio show for people just jumping in their automobiles. They flew to Florida for the Christmas and New Year's stuff. They're now driving around, going to Sawgrass Mall or going into that wild and wacky Deerfield, over to Jerry's Cigar Bar. Visit Jerry's Cigar Bar.
Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry, what's up if you're listening? We got to get there. I haven't been there for a while. We got to go there. Maybe watch the game there, if he's going to have the game on or something, one of these games.
I hope it's not like the game that happened last night.
Yeah, that wasn't too good for the Florida folks.
Yeah, that would be me.
You, Gators.
I was
Gators
dialing the phone, going on a conference call at 8 o'clock. I looked down at the phone. I hit the number. I hit call. And the next thing I know is I look back up at the TV screen. I'm going, how do we get down 7 points in one play? It was like, oh my, and then it just went from bad to worse.
So is there more sports tonight?
Are there games tonight? There's games, a million games going. But the big game is Monday night, CJ. Notre Dame. Remember it was the Catholics against the criminals when Notre Dame played
USC,
played Miami.
Oh, I thought about the USC.
Yeah,
USC's criminals.
The Catholics against the criminals. But no, the big game is Notre Dame out of South Bend.
Our Lady.
Our Lady. Out of South Bend, Indiana, beautiful campus.
With Touchdown Jesus.
Touchdown Jesus in the end zone, a big mosaic up there.
You want to
playing the wonderful team of University of Alabama, where it's required that you do not have all of your teeth in your possession.
That's not nice.
I'm just saying what the requirement is.
Be kind.
If you want to go to the University of Alabama, you cannot possess all your teeth in your mouth. That's one of the rules. It's an observation that I made. For 1 week in New Orleans, when the Miami Hurricanes played Alabama for the national championship, Kenny, what date was that? I was at that game. National championship.
Coffee.
It'll be January 1st, 1992.
92.
Okay,
I was at that game.
It's
20 years ago.
Okay.
That's scary, 21 years ago.
He knows it off the top of his head.
I was there, and I don't even remember the date, right?
This is not even, I don't think he was born yet.
But I was with a friend who had a lot of money. We had the penthouse of the W Hotel.
Wait a minute, you have a friend with a lot of money?
Yes, I don't have him. He's not a friend anymore.
He's not a friend anymore?
It was, this is 92. He has a lot of money. It was
Why don't you invite him to sit in that chair?
It was $3,000 a night, and we had the whole penthouse. We had 2 suites on either side, baby grand piano in the middle of the thing, and spent a week there. I'm glad I didn't have to pay that bill, but we went to the national championship. I was able to get the tickets. He said, if you can get the tickets, I'll pay for the trip. So we went, and I spent a week in New Orleans with. There were 77,000 people in the Sugar Bowl, the Superdome, I mean, and there were 7,000 people from Miami, 70,000 from Alabama. I observed you're not allowed to have all your teeth in your mouth if you're from Alabama, and you have to talk another language, okay? And if you lose, if you're on the losing team, as we were, you have to listen to Roll Tide for the next 5 days, okay? It was a miserable experience. So we spent a lot of time in the penthouse. That was pretty cool. Yeah. And when we were in that penthouse, let me tell you something, at $3,000 a night, we didn't have to do our own dishes.
You didn't have to do your dishes.
Nope. We did not have to do our dishes.
So were the dishes dirty, or were they really clean?
We just wanted new dishes for $3,000. We wanted new dishes every day. Just new dishes! So we got new dishes every day. But now, in the lifestyle I now live, I have to actually wash my dishes. And guess what?
Have you noticed when you take your dishes out of the dishwasher, they aren't really clean? Can you see film on your glassware? You probably think it's your dishwasher, but it's not. It's your detergent. Really Clean is a dishwasher detergent booster, and it really works. Just add a Really Clean tablet along with your favorite detergent. Really Clean tablets are not sold in stores. Order them at reallycleandishes.com. That's reallycleandishes.com.
I can't wait to try this.
I tried it.
You
We got
tried
them. We
it?
got them yesterday. Here's one of our potential sponsors. We got one for you, Mark. Where's Mark's? Oh, no, we don't have one for you because you don't have any dishes.
You don't have a dishwasher.
Yeah, you don't have a dishwasher.
Do you really?
In your place now?
It's called Jessica.
No, what's she going to do?
Okay.
Smash these things
your
up?
phone is going to light up. You better make sure the sound is off.
It's called Jessica. I wonder if your phone will light up.
I wonder what your life looks like tonight.
Yeah.
Not much. I don't wonder about.
I took one of these little puppies right here in my dishwasher last night.
Mm-hmm.
I put the little packet. Used to be in the progression of dishwashers. Used to pour the granulars into there, but now they have these little packets that come with all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I threw one of these guys in there, and I put like dirty dishes in.
Yeah, you didn't rinse them off.
I
first?
don't know if I was tricking myself to believe that it's a good product, but I was looking at the silverware, and it was very good.
Really?
It was very clean and shiny. It was very shiny.
Well, that's what I'm dying to see.
So what I'm going to do, because you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to alternate, do a real live Consumer Report type of test.
Okay.
But so far, test number 1, these are pretty cool, and they're cheap. They're like $3 or $4 for 5 of them or whatever. How much are they? No, you get
no, they're
about 5
less
of them.
than that.
$3.95 for 30 of them.
30 of them.
Yeah. So
So
they're cheap.
that's like a
11 cents, 10, 11 cents a piece. To
so
have
for 30
disinfectant
of them.
dishes.
That's a whole month, pretty
That's
much.
a whole month for $3. That's
Yeah.
You can't even get a Starbucks, but you can get Organic Gold.
But you can get Organo.
Tell everybody about Organo Gold.
Organo Gold.
And now that we're staying in the kitchen for a few minutes.
Yeah,
here.
now that we're going to stay in the kitchen for a few minutes. Well, I am a two-fisted Organo Gold
Oh, there we
drinker.
go.
Yeah, because I like the Cafe Noir and the Cafe Latte, and I can never decide which one I want, so I have both at the same time.
Cafe Noir, I guess Noir
Yeah.
is black.
Black, yeah.
And latte
which I
means-
drink black.
Latte has its own milk in it, or its
Yeah,
own.
yeah. It's already mixed up and sweetened, microbrewed.
Black
It
and white.
dissolves instantly,
Okay.
and it even,
tastes like an instant.
but it doesn't taste like instant coffee at all. No, it's really, really good. And you know what really upsets me? Because the day that we got the coffee,
And you freaked out, and we had
and
to
I squealed with delight,
duct tape you to the chair.
the night before, I was at a certain coffee shop and bought 2 boxes of the instant packets, and I spent
Is
a
Rob
fortune
on?
on them.
Is Rob on the line?
Robert.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to go to him.
Okay.
We've been waiting for him. He's, I didn't know he was on the line.
Okay.
Finish your spot real fast, then we'll go to
So
Rob.
anyway, so I was very upset that I just wasted all this money on this other coffee because it's quite inferior to Organo Gold,
Okay, well,
which
we're
I
going to do
drink
that.
at work every day and keeps me perky.
But we have with us right now, folks, on the Trento Vision Show at 15 minutes past 4 o'clock on the beautiful 3rd of January in the year 2012.
What?
Nobody. There. Okay. 2013. Here in Boca Raton, Florida, broadcasting at 50,000 watts on WNN 1470, and squeezing our picture out through the internet, going into your computers and smartphones and all of that, and listening on iHeartRadio. We have a special guest with us. He's been with us before. He's one of the country's foremost experts. He's an attorney on that pesky thing called the First Amendment, and he's got a fascinating clash of civilizations case that's going on. Robert Muse, welcome to Trento Vision. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Hi there.
That's CJ and Mark and Mike.
I'm jealous. I'm up here in the snowy Michigan, and I'm sure it's quite nice down there in Boca Raton, Florida. A little bit different than what I'm looking at out my window.
Well, you're welcome to visit any
I've
time.
actually been to your office up there.
It's sunny and 79 here in Boca Raton.
You were at his old office.
Oh, okay.
In Ann Arbor. Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
He's now with David. You're not in Ann Arbor anymore, right? You're in your other office?
Well, I'm in Ann Arbor, but I have my own office, and I have joined with David Yerushalmi. We started up the American Freedom Law Center in January of 2012, so it's almost our year anniversary.
Congratulations, you guys.
Mazel tov.
And David is one of the co-authors of Sharia, The Threat to America, with myself and a whole bunch of others. But specifically, your case, I think, has critical cultural elements to it. Why don't you lay out the case and tell everybody where it is? And if you want to jump in, it's 888-565-1470. We're discussing homosexuality issue with the First Amendment at the University of Toledo and a whole bunch of things. Rob, it's all yours.
Great. Yeah, I represent Crystal Dixon, who was the Associate Vice President for Human Resources with the University of Toledo, had been there for many years, a well-respected employee of the university, a fantastic woman, and African-American woman, and a devout Christian. Well, in 2008, in April, she read an op-ed in the local newspaper, the Toledo Free Press. It was written by the editor-in-chief, entitled "Gay Rights and Wrongs," and in the article, the editor compared the civil rights struggles of the African Americans throughout our history in the U.S. with the so-called civil rights struggles of the gay rights movement. Well, our client, as being an African American woman as well as a devout Christian, took offense to that, and so she wrote from her home computer on a Sunday afternoon an op-ed in response in which she expressed her Christian views towards homosexuality. But she started off by saying that, God loves all human beings, and, Jesus tells us to love the sinner but hate the sin, and she's opposed to, the unequal treatment of people. But she took offense with the idea that the gay rights movement was equivalent to the civil rights movement. She said, if I wake up tomorrow, I'm still an African-American woman. I can't change that, but people's lifestyle choices, they can make their own choices, and bad choices can have bad consequences. Well, for expressing her personal opinion on this very controversial issue, she was fired by the University of Toledo. And so we filed a civil rights lawsuit on her behalf, and it worked its way up through the courts. We had a judge in the Northern District of Ohio who ruled in favor of the university, who claimed that the university's diversity interests trumped her right as a private citizen to comment on this matter of public concern.
Wow.
And it is that shocking.
That's amazing.
We appealed to the Sixth Circuit in just this past December. The Sixth Circuit panel affirmed. And what they did is they applied this presumption which favors the government. And it's typically a presumption that only applies in political patronage cases when a political patronage employee is hired, for political reasons, because he's of the same party, and he speaks out against his boss on a matter of policy. There's a presumption that they can do so. Well, they extended this presumption in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit, the circuit I'm in, to apply to what they call as confidential policy-making employees. And they had to stretch that to fit her in as the Associate Vice President of Human Resources to fit within that category. And they said, well, as a matter of law, Any balancing between her free speech rights and the government falls in favor of the government as a matter of law.
Oh,
Wow. This is bad news.
It is shocking. We just filed this week a petition for rehearing en banc, asking the full court to rehear it because it's going to take the full court. You normally, when you appeal, you have an appeal as of right in the federal system, and it goes to a 3-judge panel.
right.
Before whatever circuit court you're in. The case arose out of Ohio, so it's in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit. So I argued the case before a 3-judge panel, and they ruled as I indicated. And so now we're seeking we filed a petition for rehearing en banc, asking for the entire court, because it's the entire court that can overrule this presumption, which is the law in the circuit. Other circuits don't have this presumption. So there's a split in the circuits on that specific issue, which is a very important one. And you know, as your listeners may know, anybody who's a court watcher will understand that when you have a circuit split, those are the types of cases that are ripe for Supreme Court review. So we'll probably hear back from the appellate court within the next 2 to 4 weeks or so. When the petition is granted, if it is, and I'll re-argue the case before a panel of 15 judges. If it's denied, then we will have 90 days to file a petition for a writ of certiorari, which is essentially a request to the U.S. Supreme Court asking them to review the case. And the fact that we have a circuit split on this fundamental issue, I think this case may very well be ripe for the court to take up.
Wow. I think we have a bunch of questions here, but let me get a couple of facts established. Did you say en banc is a 15-panel court?
Yeah, and each circuit is different.
Wow, yeah.
It depends really typically on the number of active judges, not including senior status judges, who are currently in the court. The Ninth Circuit, I've argued an en banc case in the Ninth Circuit in the past, and they do a quorum, and they have a panel of 11 judges, which is a very interesting experience. Let me tell you, arguing before a panel of 11, rogue judges, you feel like a teacher in the classroom. They don't raise their hand; they interrupt and just want to, fire questions at you. But in the Sixth Circuit, I think currently with the makeup, if they grant en banc, it'll be 15 judges.
Wow. Okay. So this case started when? When were you retained? When was the date of the offense? The letter.
Yeah. She was fired in 2008, and it wasn't too long after that we filed the initial lawsuit. So this has been going on now for coming close up to 5 years.
Yeah.
So
now let's jump to the resolution 5 years from now at the SCOTUS level, and you guys prevail. What does she win other than the win itself? Are there damages involved with something like this on a civil end?
Yeah, in this case, there certainly is damages. Right now, the issues before the courts are the issue of liability. So if the panel, the en banc panel, vacates the 3-judge panel opinion, basically meaning it disappears, it never happened, and they rule in our favor as to liability, it'll go back down to the district court before a jury to determine damages. Miss Dixon was without work for 2.5+ years. She literally had to expend her entire retirement during that period of time just to provide for herself until she finally got employed. Not to mention all the harassment and embarrassment and everything associated with it. But there certainly is damages that she lost here. She lost her entire retirement. She lost several years of employment pay. But that actual amount would be something that the jury would determine after determination of liability.
And would there be fees for you guys, for the attorneys?
Absolutely. We would be filing our motion for attorney's fees. There's a provision when you prevail in a civil rights case, which this is, there's a provision that provides for attorney's fees in these types of cases. I mean, right now we're doing everything pro bono, so it's...
I'm going to open up in a minute.
Out of our pocket. It's, for no cost.
Yeah. Now, did the school go with their school attorneys, or they hired a big firm?
They had a law firm that represents them, which is not uncommon. I mean, that most of the big universities and things hire law firms that represent them in these matters. So they had a law firm that was representing them.
And were there any moments or opportunities of any sort of mediation in this before you got to this point?
No. I mean, no, in the sense that they weren't going to budge. I mean, they were dug in. The other part of this, which is kind of interesting and troubling from my perspective, is she writes this op-ed piece in Toledo Free Press signs it Crystal Dixon, Mommy, Ohio, doesn't identify herself as being a university employee or anything. The president of the university writes a follow-up guest column op-ed where he, quote-unquote, repudiates everything she says and essentially attacks her viewpoints and her opinions in public in this op-ed piece that he wrote, signed it as president of the university, expressing his personal views and the university's position on diversity. And do you think anything happened to him in terms of any punishment? Of course not. I mean, this notion of diversity, it's one-way diversity. When did diversity and tolerance include lack of diversity and lack of tolerance for people who express religious views? I mean, this really is, as you indicated at the top of this discussion, it's a clash of cultures. It really is. And that's what we are. There's political correctness of what is tolerant and what is not tolerant. Unfortunately, we have this other thing called the First Amendment that appears to always be getting in the way, and unfortunately is being cast aside. I tend to be a First Amendment purist, and when I see these cases and handle these cases, it's almost like the First Amendment is no longer, our right against the government's encroachment, but more and more becoming a privilege that the government is giving us in certain circumstances. And unfortunately, we get courts that are wheeling away our First Amendment freedoms by coming up with presumptions and things that are presumptions in favor of the government. You know, kidding me. The presumption should be in favor of protecting speech, not in favor of the censor of speech, particularly political speech like this. Supreme Court has said this kind of speech runs on the highest rung of the hierarchy of First Amendment values, and this is what we get.
Yes, a couple of things, Rob, before I open it up to our folks in here. Your phone is starting to get a little overmodulated or something. It may be your excitement, I don't know, but what was the other? I forgot the. Wait. There was a point on that I was going to lay. Ask your question then.
It's just a clarification of what the appellate court said. I'm a little bit confused, and maybe it's just I'm a layman and don't understand what was being determined. But the appellate court said that the government has a right to. What was the rationale for saying that they have a right to fire her? Can you explain that one more time? I was a little bit confused about that.
Sure. Typically in an employee speech case, the court would apply what's called the Pickering balancing test. And you have to show that the speech in question, the person speaking, was speaking as a private citizen on a matter of public concern. And then once you've shown those two things, which there was no dispute here, we've shown those two things, then the court engages in a balancing where they balance the importance of their speech against the government's interest in providing the services that it does provide.
The government being the university,
because she was a confidential policy-making employee
of the university.
Because she worked for human resources.
Okay.
They fit her into that category of a confidential policy-making employee, which in the Sixth Circuit, when it comes to the balancing, there is no balancing because they say if somebody fits into that category and is speaking on a matter of policy, then the presumption is in favor of the government as a matter of law.
Okay.
So the government can limit your speech.
That arose out of political patronage cases, which makes some sense. I mean, if you're, for example, the governor of a state and you hire your cabinet members, you hire your education secretary or whatever it is at that level, and you have your policy as the governor on what you want for education, and your policy maker for education is going out there and speaking ill of your policy. I mean, then you can be fired by the governor. I mean, you would expect that.
But where is the university the government? I mean, how does that ever apply? I mean, this is a institution.
State university.
State university. Yeah.
And then
if you're at University of
that's a stretch and a half. That's a stretch.
No,
as a matter of law, it is, but as a
Yeah.
matter of logic, it's bizarre. A college being a state thing, a government entity.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why we are very interested in this, as you know, Rob, we deal a lot with national security, and we are finding on the free speech end, particularly with this administration, this Department of Justice, an effort to suppress our free speech as we criticize Islamic jihadis and all of that. I mean, that whole thing is going on all over the place.
Yeah, I have a lot of cases on that one, and typically, like I have so many cases up here in Dearborn, right? The Dearborn is sort of the mecca here for the violation of Christian free speech.
Dearborn
right?
is the mecca.
Dearborn is the mecca. That's pretty good.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Multiple lawsuits. Up here, I'm representing those 4 Christian missionaries that were represented in 2010.
The Muslim stoning Christians in
No, this is ones before that.
Before that. Yeah.
We're losing you, Rob. We're losing you here. Well, go ahead. We lost you at, you're representing the 4 Christian missionaries that went to the Arab Fest 2010. I think we lost them.
Yeah, we lost.
Did we lose him?
All right, Rob, call back.
Yeah.
He and David Yerushalmi have an amazing array of cases, and most of this First Amendment stuff is
here's
pro bono.
Here's the point that he's making. He's saying that the government is, from what this Circuit Court of Appeals said, once the university makes a policy decision, they can fire people that don't agree with their policy decision de facto because they are.
It's a matter of law.
And so the point being is, if the university comes out and says, listen, you're not allowed to criticize Islam in any way, which we have seen on the universities, and a person comes out and says, well, Islam says this, then they can fire them because of that policy decision.
Hey, Rob, you back?
Yes. So what happened there?
Yeah, you dropped off. So, are you driving, or are you walking, or flying,
No,
or?
I'm sitting. I'm staying in one location.
Okay, well, you're all the defendants that you are litigating against have somehow wired your town to interfere with your free speech when you're talking on a radio show. So that's probably
it's an interfered.
I can hear the black helicopters flying overhead right now.
Flying over your head.
Yes.
Yeah. So I said this was of particular importance to us, not only on the factual end of the homosexual movement in America trying to suppress Christian free speech, but in terms of the free speech issue, qua free speech issue. So, all right, CJ, you have a question for Rob.
I wanted to go back to the beginning of the case. What is the diversity policy of Toledo University or University of Toledo?
No Christians allowed. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, does it specify religious rights?
I don't have it memorized, but it's essentially, we're going to treat all people with dignity regardless of, and they do even have religion there, race, religion, national origin, and sexual orientation. It's just something along those lines. And I can say every time you see a diversity policy where sexual orientation is included in there, what is the primary,
right.
It's a one-way diversity protecting that, because you can't, as a Christian, have any view that might oppose some aspect of the homosexual agenda, because automatically your diversity no longer counts as being authentic diversity. So, but that's essentially it. We treat people, we're all people
are nuts.
And she's hired homosexuals that work in her office. She's somebody that
she shouldn't have to. She shouldn't have to validate her gay rights bona fides anyway. She shouldn't have to legitimize herself with any of her opinions by saying, basically, some of my best friends are gay, so therefore it's okay for me to say this. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But I guess what all this means is, really, in this culture right now, being gay trumps anything to do with what color you are, or what language you speak, or what religion you are, as a protected minority, special status group in this country. Being gay is like at the apex.
There's no question about it. Consider this for a minute. They hired her. She's the associate vice president. They have a woman, right? There's one diversity box checked.
Right.
She's an African American. There's 2 diversity box checked.
Right.
But oh my goodness, and they even knew she was a Christian with strong views when they hired her. But dare she open her mouth and express those views in public, you're gone. Particularly because it's dealing with the issue of sexual orientation and homosexuality. You're absolutely right in that regard. And you know what? I see a corollary with that. And you're talking about Islam with the Islam.
Right.
When you have Christians out there that are preaching to Muslims, they can be as peaceful as can be, and they can be subject to extreme violence. I'm representing those Christians that were stoned here in Dearborn, another Dearborn case. And the police department, rather than arresting the Muslims who were throwing stones and bottles and all kinds of debris and injuring them, they told the Christians that if you don't leave, we're going to arrest you for disturbing the peace. It's crazy. It's all turned on its head. The homosexual movement and with Islam, those are two categories that, for some politically correct reasons, are almost out of bounds for First Amendment speech.
Except ironically, in this country,
Ironically,
in this country, those two special status groups are aligning themselves as part of the left against the rest of us. How's that working?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I think it's because while they don't have similar interests, and they have one common interest, and that is to take down this Judeo-Christian nation. I'm totally convinced of that.
Yeah,
Rob,
that's it right there.
A quick question on the slippery slope angle. What does this Dixon case actually represent as far as, worst case?
Us winding up in jail.
Yeah, what's the whole slippery slope idea here? I mean, this is actually a pretty significant decision that the appellate court has made on this, to open up this other Pandora's box of allowing speech to be curtailed by the university.
Well, the problem is we have a set of laws that are being used and abused, and the only way you can fight these things is to fight against those. So, in terms of a slippery slope, to me, there's no downside in this case. I mean, we got to keep fighting back. We can't just step back from a case and be concerned about what the decision is going to mean, because what the decision means is we're maintaining the status quo, and that is, we're suppressing the free speech rights of Christians. These cases have to be fought. I only see total upside on these cases, and that's why we're going to bring it all the way as far as we can. Here's the reality: we can't let these sorts of things quiet us. We got to keep pressing it. We need Crystal Dixons out there who are willing to say, you know what, the heck of it, I'm going to express my view, and if there's consequences, when I think we're not going to give up, we're not going to fight, we're not going to just roll over. When the city of Dearborn, makes that Christians aren't welcome at the Arab Festival, we're going to go to the Arab Festival. They're going to arrest us, and we're going to have to fight it. We're not going to give up. We're not going to, and as Christ said, blessed they were persecuted my name. I mean, Crystal Dixon's she's been persecuted for her faith. And, let's tie the cars. That's how she's doing this. And we're doing the best we can.
Well, I got a question for you. Well, then according to this decision, apparently, because since the majority of Christians hold an anti-homosexual agenda, therefore the university cannot hire others to replace her, Ms. Dixon, in that position because they are Christian, because they hold homosexual views, which is a policy which is against the university. So therefore, they can discriminate against her purely on that ground. Is that correct?
Yeah, no. As long as they don't open their mouth, and the reason why I say that is I think that's exactly the words that the court used below. That's the mistake she made as she opened her mouth. And think how offensive that is. But you're right, and this is one of the things I argued to the court. I said what they've done is they've essentially disqualified Christians from holding any managerial position at the University of Toledo, and how is that not unconstitutional?
Right, exactly.
And whether they're doing that to Crystal Dixon or they're doing that across the board in many other places where there aren't lawsuits, there's no question that sort of thing is happening because of political correctness and the views on this particular issue. That's why in this case when it came to a head, it's important that we litigate it and get that first and set precedent for these other places.
There's a fascinating irony, that befits Shakespeare here. The whole issue started out where she took offense as a black woman against the analogy that the homosexual writer was using, comparing the struggle for sexual rights to the struggle for slavery and freedom. And here, the black woman is being held captive by the homosexual philosophy in America today.
Yeah.
It's completely reversed, and she's become really the victim of a philosophy that has been turned upside down on its head.
Yeah.
This is a fascinating battle.
And you think about the battle, I mean, and this goes back, one of the points made earlier about how, gay rights has assumed this sort of mantle, above everything else. Where's Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, helping out this African-American woman who is unjustly fired from her position at University of Toledo? They don't even want to touch this issue because it was dealing with homosexuality. I mean, it really is remarkable how this issue is one of those that you can't touch, you can't criticize,
Yeah.
you can't say, and I compare it to Islam. Islam is the other sort of category in all the things that I've been doing for many, many years that fits that sort of special category that for some reason is off limits for free speech.
And this lady, Crystal Dixon, she's no victim. Okay, that's why Al Sharpton isn't out there. This lady isn't a victim. This lady.
She'd tell him, "Get the hell out of here, Al."
This is not Tawana Brawley over here.
Yeah, right,
okay?
exactly.
Let me ask you this. Could you win this case in the Supreme Court the way the Supreme Court is right now?
Well, before that one, could you win it in a different circuit? Or would you have gotten the same?
Yes, I think we could win it in a different circuit. I think, as I mentioned with the presumption, the Eighth Circuit doesn't have that presumption currently. The Second Circuit doesn't have that presumption. The Third Circuit doesn't have that presumption. And quite frankly, I think the U.S. Supreme Court on this makeup, the one that would be the decisive vote, in my view, despite what Roberts did in the Obamacare, which was horrific in itself.
Yeah.
But I think it would be Kennedy, and then I think they would side with the free speech. I think we'd have a good shot in this case because the political patronage exception, they view it very narrowly. And that's one of the other aspects of this, is even if you're going to apply that sort of exception to the balancing test in this case, they applied it very, very broadly as opposed to very narrowly. You would think that any presumption that's going to be used to suppress speech would be viewed very narrowly, but in this case they did it very broadly. Because the other point is in all the other cases, typically the speaker is criticizing their employer or specifically criticizing a policy. And the only thing she ever said about the university was actually, they even acknowledged, was favorable. She made a comment about how there's some disparity in the healthcare benefits at the university, but it had nothing to do with sexual orientation. It just had to do with they had two different policies, but they're working on it to improve the healthcare for everybody. It was one of the sort of minor issues that came up in this particular article, but even they acknowledged that was positive to the university. But because her particular views were contrary to this, this broad, prophylactic, somewhat amorphous diversity policy, she was fired. So it doesn't to argue that speech was, so critical of a policy that she was responsible for enforcing, or that she, the policymaker has responsibility for, I think, again, is just looking at this so broadly that we're now in the area that we're suppressing speech as opposed to having a presumption that speech should be protected. It's troubling on so many different dimensions.
It is. Hang on. You got a couple more minutes with us, Rob? We got a few more questions.
Yeah, I really have a couple more. I've got to get back to actually a deposition that I've been doing out in D.C. right now.
And what's that deposition on?
It's with the CARE case.
That's where we're going. That's where we're going.
Council on American Islamic Relations.
Yeah.
Well, on this case, on the Crystal Dixon case, in your discovery, it's 5 years, so you've done a lot of discovery. Any smoking guns, anything out there where you go, oh, this is what you guys were saying in your emails?
Well, it's very. They didn't hide what their view is towards Crystal Dixon's religious views. And here's one of the things that's very interesting, and that we pointed out and we got in discovery is their provost, the head, one of the head people at the university herself was also interviewed in one of the local in one of the local newspapers, and she made comments identified as a university provost. She's a lesbian, and she supported this domestic partnership registration, and she quoted very explicitly. She said, "Look, if you oppose this domestic partnership law, then you're a bigot, and if you do so on religious grounds, then you're a religious bigot." And they said there's no problem with that because you can make claims that somebody's a religious bigot, and that somehow doesn't violate the university's tolerance and diversity. But don't you dare be Crystal Dixon and making a comment about homosexuality. That was the examples between the two, where one identifies herself as a university employee, she identifies herself as holding a prominent position as provost. She makes these very bigoted comments in the newspaper, and no problem. She's fine.
Unbelievable. Well, you guys are doing a tremendous job. Give us 30 seconds on your CARE case. What's the status of that, and then we'll let you go.
Well, we've got multiple CARE cases. This one happens to be the case where the Council on American Islamic Relations sued Dave and Chris Gobatz in the Center for Security Policy and several others, based on a documentary they did, and some of the evidence that came out of the documentary was published in the book Muslim Mafia, published by WorldNet Daily. So we're in the throes of that battle, defending CSP and the rest against CARE's lawsuit.
Okay, that's a big one. All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Rob Muse, thank you very much. Are you a graduate of Notre Dame?
I am a graduate of Notre Dame.
Where are you going to be Monday night?
I'm going to be in D.C. during a deposition, but David Yershami and I are going to be watching the Notre Dame-Alabama game.
All right. Go Irish. Go Irish. All right.
Okay, we need to follow this case.
Yeah, we're going to follow this case. We will stay in touch with you, and, you're welcome here anytime you need to get anything out, and we'll stay in touch with you for sure.
Terrific. Thank you
Thanks.
very
Have
much.
fun.
You take care.
Have a good day. You too. Bye-bye.
Robert Muse.
This is a huge case.
This is very big.
This is big.
I mean,
He's a very serious Catholic too, by the way.
Yeah.
He has 10 kids. He's a military veteran, phenomenal attorney, and all of our United West Florida Security Council work, going back 6-7 years, before we went into difficult situations, we would contact Rob and the guy he used to work with, Dick Thompson, over at the Thomas More Legal Center, and say, all right, we're going here, guys, and this could happen. All right, here's my secret phone number.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, call us. These are amazing men, amazing patriots.
The amazing thing about this case is that they've given this power and right to
The government!
I mean, well, they've extended the governmental, protections to the university in a very broad and open way, where if they oh God, I'm looking at it from especially from the Islamic angle. If they come out and say, you're not allowed to say anything against Palestinians because they are protected, and if you come out and say
It's coming to a neighborhood near you.
Yeah. Actually, what we have, and this is the main problem I have with the culture, with this administration, with the Department of Injustice, with national insecurity. What we have here is a culture that has opted for the rights of the state versus the rights of the individual. And people are concurring. They're trading, like you were saying.
That's a very good point. Lowering the importance of the individual's rights and affirming the greater right of the state to quash
into everything.
Right.
Into everything.
Coming out of the 60s, the post anti-Vietnam War times, that era, and those were crazy days with hundreds of thousands of 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 25-year-old people protesting. Where'd all those people go? They went to college, and they were all leftists. They went to college, and how long ago was that? 30 years ago? They've been our professors for the past 25 years. They're leftist professors. The Academy in the United States of America has been lost to the left. This is David Horowitz's whole presentation about the horrors of America, and now you're seeing the net result. The First Amendment is irrelevant. Sexual rights for homosexuals is dominant.
The First Amendment is irrelevant to the people in our media.
Because
our media, the reporters, the executives, the people who own the companies.
Culture
it's
and crisis.
irrelevant.
Our Islamic professors are now from Egypt and the Muslim Brotherhood. They're in the universities. Our political science professors are from Eastern Bloc countries where the Soviet Union fell. These guys just didn't disappear after Russia went down. They all came to America.
1982. A document was found called the Project. Project was a long-term plan for the Brotherhood to infiltrate itself into the United States. And guess what one of the areas of infiltration was?
The major one, universities.
It was universities. So,
and what did the Muslim,
you know what another one was?
Muslim Students Association.
You know what another one was? Media.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, media. Oh, yeah.
Al Jazeera. And I just got a note that Glenn Beck tried to buy. We got to verify this. Glenn Beck tried to buy current TV from Al Gore.
He wouldn't sell it to him?
No, he said there's an ideological difference. I'm not selling it to you.
But he's ideologically simpatico with Al Jazeera.
Well, that's the. That's what I just got. We got to check into to see if that's valid. But it wouldn't surprise me. Here it is right here.
But I want to also, it wasn't just that one document you're talking about. I mean, they had FBI recordings of these people actually saying we're going to go into the universities. In the 1983 was the CARE recordings before CARE was formulated.
Yeah.
They had the secret FBI recordings of them saying exactly what they're going to do. They're going to go into the universities. They're going to go into these different places.
Look, you don't even have to secretly record them because they'll get up in public and tell you.
They'll tell you,
this
yeah,
is
exactly.
what we're going to do. This is what we are in fact doing, and this is what we will continue to do, and we're winning. And people will say, "Oh, you can't believe that."
I know.
Okay, well, that's why we're here, the right-wing whack jobs who are out of touch with reality. We are out of touch with reality if reality requires a common-sense, logical, analytical connection of facts to one another to a conclusion. If you can throw all that stuff out the window, whatever you feel, you think you may want, then then that's where we need to go. Maybe we should raise the white flag. See, we don't have a white flag here. We have an American flag, an Israeli flag.
Right.
We need "Don't Trend on Me" flag up there, too.
Yeah, we do.
Feelings, appearance with no substance. That's what we have in America, and that's who we have leading America right now.
Indeed. All right.
The feeler in chief.
All right. You got a quick.
Did you hear what CJ said?
The what? Feeler in chief.
The
Feeler in chief.
Feeler in chief. Yeah. On that note, and on the prospect of the Islamic jihadis on the campus suppressing our free speech, which we've seen. We saw that in San Diego. Remember we got shut down there?
Yeah.
We'll tell that story later. We need a little bit of Sharia.
The Sharia, and then the
Sharia,
and finally the Sharia.
It's coming up. Computer's
Sharia. That's
Come
okay.
on, hurry up, or we're going to sing it ourselves.
I can stall.
You want to do the slavery one?
Let's go slavery.
My Sharia. My Sharia. Never gonna stop or give it up. Killing infidels, always got it planned. Underhand, give a lot of yell.
All right, here we go.
My Sharia.
There he is, the president of Egypt.
My Sharia.
Yeah, sounds like Howard Dean.
My Sharia.
All right, you just heard Robert Morsi. Mohammed Morsi, the president of Egypt. Mohammed
What's this thing
Morsi.
with Robert?
No, I'm looking at
He's
both
got
of
Robert
you.
on the brain
I said
today.
Robert. I'm looking at both of you, and you're both in La La Land. But you're over there reading.
No, we
Okay,
were
go.
reading things.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, according to Sharia law, out of the Umdat al-Salik, it is illegal to torment your servant, your beast, your slave, or to goad animals to fight each other.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Your
Be kind
slave.
to animals.
Oh, you can't
So
torment.
Islam is
Can't-
pro-animal
can't torment
rights.
your slave.
Pro-animal rights and pro-slave rights.
Okay, and they define slavery as says slavery within Islamic culture is not to be confused with Roman slavery or with American variety of the 19th century. In Islam, where the slave was never a mere thing. If his master treated him badly, he could appeal to a judge and if his master this is just so insane. This is just so insane. His dignity as a Muslim would not be taken away from him, right? It's just totally crazy.
Well,
But you can buy your way out of slavery in Islam, so
Yeah.
that's the positive.
Okay.
Because there's a special zakat fund
There's a
for that.
zakat fund for that.
so does the Islamic jurisprudence book, the Islamic law book, has it changed, or is this
It
still
never
apply?
changes. Well, we read that the other day. This is law forever, and for in the time you can never change it.
That's interesting because some of the Islamic countries, in order to get into the UN, have to agree to certain principles that you can't have slaves anymore, and they've written agreement to this.
Mm-hmm.
But does it overrule the Sharia? Well, we'll answer that question. Does it overrule the Sharia? We'll look at Robert Morsi and his brother Mohammed Morsi and all those guys in just a few minutes.
Thanks for tuning in to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Tom Trento can be reached at 561-319-5533 or Tom at TrentoVision.tv. And tune in again weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
iHeartRadio gives you the music you want wherever you go. For example, let's see what's going on this station you're listening to now. Ha! That's me! Wherever you go, iHeartRadio. Download the free app in your phone's app store or go to iHeartRadio.com.
In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sterile bandage, a sandbag, a doctor, a sheet of plywood, a shovel, a bulldozer, a stethoscope, a cement mixer, an oxygen tank, a bed, a house. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact. It can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most: food, medical services, shelter, and other essential supplies. It can help improve the immediate distress and over time becomes a crucial tool in rebuilding schools, hospitals, and homes and getting local businesses back on their feet. A monetary donation is an easy and effective way you can help.
Want to help those affected by Hurricane Sandy? To donate, visit sandy.adcouncil.org. That's sandy.adcouncil.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
More than 100 million wild animals are killed each year, illegally. Poaching is just one of the risks animals face at our hands. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor. I grew up in the beautiful rural countryside of Ohio, where animals roamed freely in the open forests. I have a deep concern to help preserve those open spaces for our wildlife friends so they can live and thrive like they used to. Destruction of their habitats threaten their very existence. The best way to protect wildlife is to protect the land where they live. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats, and establish permanent sanctuaries. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE. Or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Great party, huh, guys?
Yeah, it is.
So much
Great.
fun. If I do say so myself. Hey, did you know that birthday parties actually help build confidence in kids?
Yeah, I did know that.
Did you know that giving kids less sugar before bedtime helps them sleep better?
Right, of course.
Yeah, I knew that. Did you know that strollers have the right of way on sidewalks?
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, that's true. Did you know that friendly kids statistically have more friends?
Everyone knows that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Obvious.
Hey, guys, did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
I didn't know that.
Think I knew that.
No, you didn't.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is Health and Wealth Radio, AM 1470, WWNN Pompano Beach, and WKIS HD3, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Despite open criticism and grumbling, only 10 Republicans voted for someone other than Boehner. In the Senate, Vice President Joe Biden swore in 12 new members and those who were either appointed or won re-election in November. Illinois Senator Mark Kirk, who had been absent for the past year while recovering from a stroke, slowly walked up the 45 steps to the Senate. A last-minute surge in spending has brightened the holiday sales picture for many major retailers. The better-than-expected December December sales are a relief for stores that make up to 40% of annual revenue during the holiday period. 20 retailers reported sales in December rose an average of 4.5%. Twin airstrikes by government jets on a large rebel-held suburb of the Syrian capital today blew the sides off of apartment towers and left residents digging through rubble for the dead and wounded. Anti-regime activists said at least a dozen people were killed. This is IRN USA Radio News.
I will never forget the day my son Jeremy told me he hated me and slammed the door in my face. I'm behavioral therapist Janet Lehman. Behavior problems can turn the child you love and your life into a nightmare. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the step-by-step program that shows you how to fix the worst behavior problems and get your child to respect and listen to you again. No matter what the behavior, defiance, backtalk, angry outbursts, disrespect, we can help you stop it. Now you can get the Total Transformation for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. You can keep it forever for free.
Limited number of free programs available. Call now. 1-800-893-4392. 1-800-893-4392. That's 1-800-893-4392. 1-800-893-4392.
Police in Britain have extradited a terror suspect to the U.S. to face charges he helped plot an al-Qaeda attack on the New York subway system.
British authorities handed over 26-year-old Abed Nasir to U.S. authorities who want him to stand trial in New York for his alleged role in a terror campaign that would have struck targets in Britain and Norway as well. Prosecutors say Nasir collected bomb ingredients and was in contact with al-Qaeda operatives before the plot was foiled. He was arrested in a British counter-terror operation in 2009 but released without charge. Nasir successfully fought extradition to Pakistan, saying he'd be tortured if sent home, but his arrest in 2010 at the request of U.S. authorities eventually led to his extradition.
The former chief of intelligence in northwest Pakistan says the missile attack death of a militant who had a truce with the Pakistani military will complicate the fight against militants in the tribal region. A pair of U.S. drone strikes in northwest Pakistan near the Afghan border killed Maulvi Nazir and a dozen other people today. For the latest news and analysis, log on to IRNUSAnews.com.
There are many debt relief plans and scams out there, so if you find yourself with $10,000 or more in credit card debt, then call American Credit Card Solutions for a free informational kit that will tell you about your options. The kit is free, and there is absolutely no sales pitch. This is a first-come, first-serve offer, and kits are limited, so call right now for your free debt informational kit. 800-298-1199. That's 800-298-1199.
It's turned into a battle of Second Amendment rights versus First Amendment rights. The clerk for Putnam County, New York, is refusing to release the names and addresses of residents with pistol permits to a newspaper. Legal experts say it will be difficult for officials to deny handing over public records to the Journal News. The paper has drawn anger for publishing gun owner records in other nearby communities. More than 200 adults have been arrested in an international investigation of child pornography.
As satisfying as the arrests in Operation Sunflower have been, today is obviously a day of mixed emotions because this operation is ultimately a tale of the perverse, pervasive, and violent exploitation of children.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement Director John Morton says the arrests are important, but it deals with just part of the problem.
The grim reality is that online child exploitation is a very real part of our modern lives, and it is going on throughout the world right now on a grand scale.
The parents of an American journalist who has been missing in Syria since he was kidnapped more than a month ago was appealing to his captors for compassion and any information about their son's health and welfare. John and Diane Foley of Rochester, New Hampshire, said their son, 39-year-old James Foley, was kidnapped in northwest Syria by unknown gunmen on November 22nd. The Foley said today they haven't received any information about their son in 6 weeks. Foley